North Central Regional Center for Rural Development, and we're pleased to be hosting this webinar. Our speakers today are Kathy Anderson, and she's an Extension Equine Specialist at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Skelly, who is an Equine Specialist in the Department of Animal Science at Michigan State University. Go ahead.
Thank you, Scott. This is Kathy Anderson, and I'll be doing the first portion of the presentation, and Chris will pick up and kind of finish with some of the things that we did with social media. And I first would really like to thank the North Central Center for Rural Development for the grant that we had to conduct this program, because we think it really was a very good program, and we've been able to develop some resources that are going to help continue on for a variety of people to also use those in the future. So just a little very brief kind of overview of the North Central Region horse industry. As many of you know, many of you who are on this are involved with horses in some way, shape, or form. The North Central Region horse industry has somewhere over 1 million horses, around 162,000 horse farms. Most of those are going to be found in your rural communities of 50,000 people or less, and that's really where we have most of the breeding, training, boarding types of things, as you would traditionally think of many horse operations. In addition, we also do travel into the urban settings for more of the spectator types of things for the races, the shows, rodeos, competitive events such as those. And so really briefly, this conference that we put together, we're calling it our Equine Business Network, our Equine Business Conference, was a partnership of 4 universities, originally targeted for the North Central region, but it's also applicable nationwide, and we'll show you how we've made the resources available across the country. And I'll get into a little bit more specifics that I have on the slide here of really what we did. The reason we came together and put this grant together to propose this program was really to try to help to enhance the rural equine businesses. We all know in this market and economy, it can be a very tough thing. Many of our equine-related folks are very independent contractors, and wanted to try to give them some ways to increase the profitability and the sustainability of a variety of different equine businesses, ranging from the traditional ones of the trainers and trainers and veterinarians to others that are more support types of things, and some of your tack and feed and areas such as that. So we really look to try to develop and organize business management resources that are focused for the owners and employees in the horse area. Also, we wanted to help to increase some of the business knowledge. Help people look at different potential employment opportunities, look at different horse industry business development, and how things can go for people looking to expand or maybe even just jump into this. So some of the things that were presented in this conference were to help these types of endeavors enhance their efficiency. Naturally, the bottom line is wanting to increase their revenue, and if all of these are accomplished, then we hope that we'll in some way help to expand our horse industry. So to touch a little bit on what we did, we had 4 universities that did collaborate on this project: Michigan State University, University of Nebraska, Iowa State University, and University of Minnesota, all through our extension programs in each of these institutions. We came together and did a relatively unique type of conference that more folks are beginning to do, but really still are relatively new and not been done a tremendous amount. As you can see, what we did is we hosted a conference on a single day in late February, but we did have 1 speaker at each of the 4 locations, and then the other locations those speakers were broadcast over by a webinar. So at the University of Nebraska, we hosted a person that was looking at business structures and accounting. However, our audience there also received the information that was presented from the speaker at Michigan State University, Iowa State, and the University of Minnesota. And we did this on a Saturday morning. So it was a relatively different way to deliver a program. It allowed us to do things on a very affordable way. The different basic topics that we covered included liability and legal issues. We had a presentation related to marketing of the horse operation. Another one directed information towards insurance, both insuring your horses and also your facility and different horse events that you might have. And also a presentation looking at accounting and business structures. So in combination with all this, we naturally also did We also did a pre-conference webcast that was done in January that was more of a promotional type of webcast. This one we really focused more on careers, potential careers in the horse industry, and also what some things of the industry, trends and things of the industry that we are seeing. So again, we conducted the conference, the Equine Business Conference in February. Overall attendance at the live conference was not tremendous. It was somewhere around 130 individuals, and you can see it was kind of dispersed fairly broadly across our institutions. Minnesota had around 50 people. Michigan had 50 people, Minnesota 40. Iowa and Nebraska, we were a little bit smaller on our attendance with 20 folks at each of those locations. All of the webcasts that we presented were then saved and archived, and we'll also show you the Equine Business Resource Area that we've developed. But as of November, there have been 56 views, total views of the webcast that we had archived. And I think this is really pretty neat because we really, up to that point, had not advertised that those were sitting there. People just pretty much had to go and find them. In addition, we also launched what we call our Equine Business Network, which is a Facebook page. That was launched back in also November, and of December, that page has over 600 fans, and so we're getting a lot of good traffic out of our Facebook page. What this did allow us to do with this conference, to present it in the way that we did, was to present to folks a very affordable program. We were able to utilize speakers that were very excellent resources, but it allowed us to be able to utilize them without the cost of travel and those types of things. Then again, as I already mentioned, the webcasts are archived on My Horse University, and there's various ways that you can find those, and so they are available for folks to use in a variety of different ways. For example, one of those, on the one dealing with business structures, I've already used in a class that I taught this fall. And so they can be used in a variety of different types of venues and settings for meeting situations and also just for individuals looking for more information. We also, at the conclusion of the live conferences, utilized roundtable discussions to get a lot of feedback from the folks that were there within the room on some of the information they gained and how to expand on their horse industries. Additionally, like in everything that we do in Extension, we did evaluate the program. For those that were there, we did a post-program evaluation just immediately following the conference, and then also did another online impact survey with the attendees approximately 6 months after the program was over. Chris is going to talk later about some of the social network types of things, so I'm really not going to go into those too much, but just as some of what we did do with this program was in November of 2011, which is a little over a year ago, we did launch our Facebook page, which is called the Equine Business Network, and she'll also talk about how we did utilize this during the conference. In addition, this fall, or early this fall in September, we also developed a Horse Biz blog in which we're posting blogs weekly or bi-weekly on different aspects of the horse industry and business with things related to them. Then also this fall we did launch our e-extension resource area, and Chris will show you some of that also, where on e-extension on our HorseQuest site we do have a variety of resources. We have links to all of these things, links to get to the blog, links to get to the network, to the Facebook page, also to the archive website, and then we've also built a variety of resource pages to expand on information and give you additional links to the different topics that were covered during the conference. Now, naturally, when you're ever doing something new like this, there always are a few different kinds of roadblocks that you run into. And just if some of you would be interested in presenting a conference of this type again, naturally there was a lot of coordination that needed to be done. We were dealing with 2 different time zones, and so it took a little bit to make sure that things were going to work well between the time frames that we were setting up. Naturally, there's some technology challenges of presenting the webcast both live to our various live audiences and getting them archived and making sure everything was going to work quite well. And then again, there's always some clientele challenges. We would have hoped in some of those that we would have liked to see a larger face-to-face audience. Some of that might have been because the way we presented this was a little bit different on some different kinds of topics. And I think in a lot of our programs, many folks are seeing that to get people to a conference, it's getting a little bit more challenging. To take you briefly to some of the kinds of things that the folks responded to in the surveys as far as what they got out of attending the conference, the majority of them, 95 to 68% of them, really pretty much said that the types of information that was presented were going to benefit them in their horse operation. We found that kind of the area of equine law is an area that a lot of folks want a lot of good information from. We had a fabulous speaker, Julie Frischman, who's very well versed on various elements of equine law, and I'll share some of the things that she talked about. And so that one really was one that we probably could have spent a whole program on in itself. Also, the area of promotion and marketing is another area that folks really got a lot of very useful information from. Insurance, again, 74% of them said that they were going to use a lot of the good information, and taxes and finance at 68%. So the things we presented to them were very useful to them. As far as would they make at least one change in their horse operation, you can see again law and promotion and marketing, pretty much all of them are going to make some changes related to those, and also about half of them in insurance and taxes and finance. So when we look at some of the things that were presented in these different areas, looking at some of the kinds of things that people were getting the information that they wanted, things that they were going to make changes on, one related to equine law would be the types of documentation they needed in different kinds of leases and contracts, and she did a very good job of showing people the kinds of things that they did need to include. Also, the things that related to that are the types of wording and things to use in various releases and those types of documents. In addition, she also presented a lot of good information on how to, on what, all of these states do have the limited liability legislation in their states, and she did a very good job of working through those to show what applies in certain states, and also how to minimize your risk and avoid some of the liability types of things that we as horse owners and equine business owners might run into. In the area of promotion, marketing, and advertising, probably the biggest area that they opened some eyes to is the ability to use social media to help promote events and their businesses. Things with utilizing Facebook pages, Twitter, and those types of things, as we all know, is a new venue and a way that many things are going, and Chris will share some more information on that a little bit later. When we looked at insurance, many of them saw that the changes in policies that they can use on their horses, some wanted more insurance, some wanted less, and to know that the variety of different kinds of things that are out there, and also to understand better what these policies mean and where some of the loopholes might be, we think was some very valuable information. Also, this is always a very big concern of many people, is what kind of insurance do they need when they're having hosting an equine related event at a facility, whether they own it or not. And so again, he presented some good things for those. The taxes and finance areas, everyone is always looking at ways to lower their taxes, and so some of what Michelle presented and talked about dealt with being able to move your business from what you consider your horses as a hobby to a business, which can end up lowering the way that you pay taxes on some of those areas. Also, with many of them were more interested also in how they could now change the way they were set up and move from a sole proprietorship to potentially an LLC, where they are more protected and absolve themselves of some of the personal risks that they might have in some of that types of business structure. Excuse me. Kind of in all, this was really beneficial, that you can kind of see as far as where folks felt that they had some good background before the conference and after the conference, and the amount of increased knowledge that they gained while they attended the conference. And we would hope that if folks would go through the resources and things that are available online, they're going to get a lot of this good type of learning. But naturally, kind of what we've seen through everything is people are very hungry for things related to legal issues in the law, and so you can see they had the strongest amount of increase of what they had learned, followed by the insurance, and again the taxes and finances. They grew and gained as far as learning things how to help them also. So again, what did they learn about? Well, this is kind of related to what I mentioned before, but with law, things related to liability laws, contracts, releases. I've got contracts in there a second time. Promotion and marketing, how to brand their operation, be it a horse farm, be it a tack store. Different tools to try between use of social media, traditional types of things, and areas, and gave some good ideas and presented some different ways of getting some of those things to try. Additionally, with insurance, they learned a lot about the different kinds of coverages for their horses and also events and activities. And as far as the taxes and finances, the different types of business structures that are out there, different tax issues, and how they can actually lower their taxes. This I thought was kind of interesting. We threw this in there because we have been able to track how many folks have actually watched the archived webinars. And through everything, the legal, and from the live conference, we had the strongest changes or increases of the legal and the liability issue types of things. However, the business structure webinar really has seen the most views since they were posted right after the conference. And you can see all of them have been getting views of folks looking at them, but I think it's kind of interesting that about how to structure your horse business, and that has had the one with the most views to it. Then when we asked the folks, these are some things that we got from the folks after we did the survey, and surveyed them about 6 months after they had done the conference. And so naturally we didn't get as many of the folks responding, but we still did get a cross-section of folks that had attended the conference at each of the different locations, and pretty much about 60% of them indicated that they felt that they were going to have some increased profitability due to the things that they had learned from the conference. And so, excuse me, 86% of them felt that they were going to be able to decrease the risks of liability from the information that we had presented. 81% of them were improving their insurance plan, and so these are all different kinds of things that in the bottom line to me are going to help increase their profitability. 70% of them said that they were going to have some improved marketing within the next 3 years of the different types of things that they were going to go and begin to learn and put in place after they'd attended that conference. And so from here, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Chris so she can talk about some of the things with some of the social media types of things.
All right, thanks, Kathy. Before I get started talking about our Facebook page, I just wanted to see how many of our participants are currently on Facebook. If you want to just raise your hand in the participant room, you can see the little icon on the top. Cindy's there, Desiree is there, Ron, Deborah. Okay. And you may want to, at some point, find our Equine Business Network on Facebook and join that if you have any interest at all to see what we're doing there, or just take a look, see it's an open fan type page. Right now we have about actually 600 fans of this page. It started with this first North Central grant, and we used it initially primarily to promote what we would be doing with our winter program in 2012. So that was one of the primary focuses of developing this Equine Business Network page. The other thing that we wanted to do is to create a place that people could come on and talk to each other in the equine business world. And we're doing a pretty good job with that. People are asking questions. They're getting their questions answered by other people that are fans of this network. And then if we don't see their question getting answered, then we provide the expertise to answer those questions. So if you look at our timeline, most of these pictures have been provided provided by our fans. And so we request, every once in a while, we request new photos to redo our timeline. And so we really are trying to make this very fan-based so that it's driven by our clientele. And over on this page, this kind of shows you who our fan base currently is. And it's fairly typical of what we see with extension-based programs for the horse industry. We're usually seeing more females with our online programming. We also see this with another online program that we work with, My Horse University, where we have a lot of females. And it's the female range in that 25 to 54 group in age that we usually see. So it's pretty typical. If you look over at the countries represented, we do get a few foreign countries in there. We get a lot of people from Canada, United Kingdom, Australia that actually participate with some of our webcasts as well. And if they can't participate in real time, they'll go into our archived webcast. The cities represented are more typical, though, of the cities that have, or the states that have actually hosted this program for some time. So you see Michigan represented, Nebraska, Iowa State, and Minnesota primarily from U.S. cities. From how we utilized our Facebook page, one thing that was really fun during the conference, since we had the 4 different locations, we invited everybody ahead of time to either bring their smartphones or their laptops so that they could connect in through wireless connection and talk to each other during the presentations, as well as ask our presenters questions. So this is Julie Firshman, the attorney that Kathy discussed earlier during her presentation, and Michigan State actually hosted her live. So during her presentation, we would get questions from the other 3 locations through Facebook, and then we were able to kind of group these questions and ask Julie these questions along with questions coming from our live audience here at Michigan State. And what questions didn't get answered during the live conference, we had those questions there on our Facebook page, and we're able to get those answered on Facebook later on in the week. So it was a really nice interactive way to keep everybody connected, even though we were miles and miles apart. And I think it actually, for as many people as we had, it worked a lot better than trying to do everything out of a chat box within the webcast. So I would certainly try this format again. We also noticed a huge jump in our Facebook fan base after this conference, and I think there was just so much activity. It got a lot more visible on other people's Facebook page as well. Another way we use this Facebook page is about 3 or 4 times a week, we post informational posts on this Facebook page. Part of our in our grant, we actually wrote in to have somebody to be able to pay somebody part-time to keep this Facebook page live and dynamic, and I think that that's crucial. If you want to have a relevant page that people can use every week. So we post 3 to 4 times a week, and every week we have a calendar, and within that calendar we know what events we want to discuss during the week, if there's webcasts such as this going on. We also have topics each week. Sometimes it's, insurance, liability, a lot of the topics we've covered here. Marketing with social media is always a good topic. People really respond to that. But we try to keep it relevant to equine businesses. Most of our equine businesses, then, we're looking at small businesses and a lot of people that are interested in starting up an equine business of some sort. So this is an example of an informational post on our Facebook page. Now this, and I'm sorry you can't, it's not coming out that good, but about once every 2 months we have a promotional day for our fans. And what we do here is we ask our fans to post their Facebook or website information, and then we take that and we repost it on our Facebook page so everybody can see that. And this is always our most popular day for posting, where we get the most activity. It's the most interactive. And what you'll see then is people start liking each other's pages as well. It gives them more visibility within the industry. And you'll also see conversations starting amongst people. So we're getting that connectivity with the industry, which is one of our goals for our social media. The other thing that we use our Facebook page to do is to promote our future programming. So this is a promotion for a program that we'll be doing this February and March. And we'll talk a little bit more about it later on, but it's fairly similar to our 2012 program. The other part of our social media that we wanted to start trying out, and none of us had a whole lot of experience with blogging, but we wanted to have more of a uniform, concrete informational site where people could solicit a little bit more activity and comments from an expert. So Dr. Peggy Miller from Iowa State has this blog that we just developed, and we were trying to think of catchy titles, so we have it Horse Biz. And about once a week, she posts something related to equine business, and she herself is an equine business owner as well as on faculty at Iowa State. She's also a member of our E-Extension Horse Quest team. So she has some really great information there if you guys want to check out her blog. But we also promote this blog within our social media as well. And then the last part of this grant involved taking all these resources that we developed in our February programming and developing a resource area within eextension.org horses. So this is our resource page in eExtension, and in that page we have articles, we have webcast, and then we promote our social networks as well as our upcoming events. And here, this shows you some of our archived webcasts, and most of these were archived from our February programming, but we also put in here other webcasts that would be relevant to equine businesses. So we have managing the boarding farm and careers in the horse industry included on these webcasts. We're just now starting to promote our archived webinars. within e-extensions. So here's actually a list of our archived webinars that are available. And then we're also promoting our 2013 programming, and this program is actually a direct result of our 2012 program. We were able to leverage the success of our program from last year and submit a grant to the North Central Risk Management Education Center to develop this 2013 program. And we have changed the format somewhat. This program will strictly be online, so we won't have the live workshop component for this program. And we're also, though, including a short course with each webcast. So people will actually be able to register for free for these short courses where they have some relevant articles to review. They can watch the webcast either live or through archive viewing. There'll be a decision tree exercise for them to work out and an interactive quiz with each course. So by the end of completing that, they can qualify for a certificate of completion for that course. So we're trying this format to see how it works for us, and we hope that if any of y'all are interested in that, please take a look. If you'd like to help promote it, we can get you that information as well. So with that, Kathy, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I think we covered a lot of the basis of what we went through, and kind of like I put in the chat box, all of these resources are on e-extension on HorseQuest, and if there are things that you think you can use in some of your programs, for various programs or just information you have people looking for, go and use them, because that's why they're out there. And we'd encourage you guys to share this with some of your equine clientele and to get them to join onto the Facebook page and also the blog, because that will help just continue for this to grow. And the next program coming up we're really excited about, because again it's going to share some good information on a variety of areas that we really have not been able to find much information out there for. So we thank all of you for being on, and we can have, if you guys have some more questions, go ahead and put them in, and I think Scott had something with the evaluation.
Thanks, Kathy and Chris. It's an interesting overview of your project here, and I've got the evaluation up so folks can click those and let us know how the webinar went. Just a quick question for you guys. You know, in working with a number of equine-related businesses, what tends to be the spot where they run into trouble most frequently, and what are sort of your main things of, you know, I wish if I were in control of the universe, here's what I would have them do differently to be more successful?
A little bit, I think what we found and what the people really jumped on a lot were having people being more educated about different elements out there, such as the ways that they can better protect themselves from things that might happen. The information that Julie presented on all the different contracts and liability related types of things, and then along with some of the insurance areas, I think we have a lot of people that are either misinformed or very uninformed, and they're really appreciative of finding a central go-to place that they can go and get this type of information from. Chris, what do you think?
Yes, I think with our horse industry, they really want information that's specifically geared to people in that industry. There's some other really great relevant information out there, but I think it's underutilized by horse business. uh, they just don't get to it quite as easily. So I think that having something that's specifically geared for them is crucial. And as some of y'all observed, a large portion of our audience is female. And so females in a rural environment and in the equine industry is fairly underserved. So that's something else that we've been able to leverage a little bit as we work on these particular grants, is trying to serve that audience.
Are there state level policies that are particularly good that you're aware of that have fostered more growth in this industry in some states than others, or is that not something you kind of looked at?
I'm not sure, Chris, that we really dived into things that are differences about policy-wise between states. Trying to think.
Yeah, I know. Within the state of Michigan, something that has actually been detrimental to our industry has just been the lack of support for the horse racing industry, and we saw a drastic decline in that aspect of our industry in Michigan. But that being said, the recreational portion of our industry has, over the last 10 years, had continued to grow. So we didn't necessarily get our numbers actually increased as far as horses within our state, as well as the activity. It's just that with the absence of the racing industry, we've definitely lost some of our breeding farm opportunities from the thoroughbred industry. They've all gone south to where they're a little bit better supported. So that's the type of probably legislation that would impact specific states.
Yeah, and I hadn't really thought of it that way, and I think Nebraska probably mirrors her state as well, because we've been going through some of the very similar issues of trying to get some things passed that would enhance the racing side of things, and that's not really happened, and so there's a lot of concerns, where the future of that industry. Our state, not a lot of things that's directed directly to the horse still, but the cattle industry and the way that fluctuates, we do have a good population that are used as support for over on the cattle side of things. But the racing thing, I think you would see across the board in many places is a little bit of a concern.
You brought up that.
Yeah, and I see that.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see that Deborah also mentioned environmental regulations, and it's funny because in Michigan for several years, horses actually came in second to our dairy industry as far as environmental concerns or complaints being lodged with our MDA. So those are coming more into play, but I don't think we've been hit as hard as some of our other animal agriculture yet in Michigan. But the complaints are primarily there just because horses are usually located in neighborhoods with a lot of non-ag people, and those are where we see more of our complaints.
Looks like Carol had a suggestion that Florida might have a best management practices template that could be looked at. You mentioned the recreational side of this, and in Michigan, our governor has recently announced plans for I'm blanking on the exact number of miles, but 600-mile bicycle trail. Are there states that are being aggressive in putting together horse trails or bicycle trails that are more compatible with where there's kind of a lane for horses and a lane for bikes, or those kinds of things, or is that just kind of taking a back seat to the bicycle industry?
I think what you see is in states that have very strong horse councils and very strong voices, they're probably able to lobby themselves for those types of things a little bit better than some of the others. In many of the groups you talk about across the country in different states, some of their trails committee and some of their groups like that are very, very active and very successful in getting some of those types of things accomplished and done. Others, there's more of a concern of not being able to be as successful in those kinds of endeavors, and I think you really see some problems with some of the horse industries is in different states is they are not as organized, a strong voice brought together. They're more segmented into their different groups. And so to me, the ones that have the strongest able to work on things such as organized trails and things like that have strong horse councils and are able to come together as a group to go after those types of things.
Yeah,
Ron Wilson offered a good suggestion.
Michigan has a pretty strong rails to trails program and have included Equine in part of their planning, but there is always a little bit of a competition between other trail users and equines, so that's something that our industry really has to work on as far as conserving open places to ride.
Looks like Ron Wilson has identified a great template from Kansas.
That's a neat concept, the students of horseback riding. I actually do my PhD there at K-State, so I know the Flint Hills region, and yeah, that could be something interesting to explore. More power to them. It's nice that you have a governor that is looking at it that way and putting that as a priority area, something he's interested in.
Yeah, well, looking at it as an economist from strictly in a kind of a multiplier effect point of view, somebody's going to buy a bicycle once, and of course they'll get good exercise, and I'm not in any way against bicyclists, but the economic impact of a horse might be greater than the economic impact of a bicycle.
It takes a lot more taking care of a horse than it does with a bicycle, so yes, you're absolutely true.
Well, I think we've kind of come to the end of our time here. Unless one of the participants has another question, I think we'll go ahead and shut down the recording and thank our